Good morning. It's Dorothy Pilarski from Midday Moms. We're delighted that you're here. We are faith partners with the Archdiocese of Toronto on a mission to revive the vocation of motherhood. And we are so excited this morning. I'm so excited this morning to have a guest of honor. I'm sure that a lot of you have heard of Dr. Ray. He's a Catholic psychologist with 10 children who is a prolific author who has a television series, a radio station, and more and more and more. Let's just have a big warm welcome, yay, to Dr. Ray Guarendi. I also wanted to welcome all of you signing on today. If you want to tell us where you're from, I see that several of our Catholic Mothers Group leaders are signed on. Hi, Suzanne, one of our leaders in the Niagara region, Mary Lou Bereza, Christina Zasowski. We're thrilled to have you here. And this morning, we're going to be talking about the topic of intuition. Welcome, Ray.
Hi, Dorothy. It's been too many years since I talked to all you folks.
Yeah, so can you tell us just before we jump into the topic, just a little bit more about yourself, something I may have missed, a new book, a new something? Is there anything I've missed?
Well, the one thing that's pretty obvious since I talked to you last time is I'm older now. This is as old as I've ever been. So you can start to see yourself as old when you look at your driver's license picture and you say, that's not a bad picture.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? Yeah, no, we're gaining wisdom, right? Right? We're gaining wisdom. Um,
My most recent book just came out. It's called How to Get Along with Almost Everybody, because
okay.
obviously there are people in your life that you will not be able to get along with no matter what. But
Okay.
the book focuses on that close inner circle of people that you're really kind of obliged to get along with: moms, mother-in-laws, dads, brothers, cousins, spouses. So that's the focus of the book. Okay, how can you make this relationship, if not greatly positive, at least not as negative?
Yeah, and I've recently become a mother-in-law, and I'm soon to become another mother-in-law. And it's just so interesting dealing with different personalities too, right? So if you're an extrovert and then the other person is an introvert, do you cover some of these topics about personality differences or?
There is advice to mother-in-laws on their daughter-in-law's wedding day. And that advice is sit up, shut up, and wear beige. And I think that
Don't wear white. Yeah.
I think that is a good piece of advice for a mother-in-law to give daughter-in-law only if you are asked. Be careful because it can be misinterpreted. You may say the most benign thing in the world and she gets upset by it. So if she asks your opinion, Dorothy, you hand her something from your attorney and you say, please sign this.
No, this is fantastic. I love it. So, what's the name of the name of your new book again?
How to get along with almost everybody.
Everybody. And if Dorothy wanted to purchase this book, where would I go? Because I think I need it. So,
Hey, Dorothy, I don't want to say anything, but on the back cover of the book, your picture is under almost.
No, no, that's fantastic. Almost.
If you
So,
want a signed copy,
yes.
if you want a discounted copy, you go to my website, drray.com, DRRAY.com, and all the books are there. All 19 of the books are there. Or you can go through EWTN or Amazon or Sophia Press.
Okay, no, so that's great to know. So just doing a bit of a round circle to our topic today. We've got, another one of our Mothers Group leaders has just said something. She's excited to be joining today. Yes, Christina, we're excited. Christina hosts two Mothers Groups. She hosts one in the morning, she hosts one in the evening. She's a mother of 8 and a grandmother, I think, of 12. and she skis and
She sounds more manly than I am.
yeah, she does. She made a mean lasagna for my daughter too. Anyway, I should get back to this topic. So we're here to talk about intuition, a God-given gift. Is it real? Is intuition a thing? So, Dr. Ray, what exactly is intuition? What is intuition?
First, Dorothy, it is real, but it is not magic. It is not some gut sense that you can't pin down. A fireman walks into a building, the building is burning. All of a sudden, he screams, "Get out, get out, get out, get out, get out." And everybody gets out. And they ask him, why did you panic like that? And he goes, I don't know. I don't know. I just sensed something bad was about to happen. And within a matter of seconds, the roof collapses. Now, what happened was, after all those years of being a fireman, he picked up subtle cues that didn't register. He may have heard a beam crack. He may have seen a fire take a certain pathway that before, in his experience, that pathway meant the roof is in danger. Same thing with moms. If a mom senses something is wrong going on with the kid,
Hmm.
and she goes, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. But maybe she picks it up very subtly in his tone of voice.
Hmm.
Maybe there's a slouch of his shoulders.
Hmm.
Maybe he goes straight to his room with a quick hello, and that's not quite the way he does it most of the time. So if you take her back and you say to her, how did you know something was wrong? And she stops and thinks about it, and she says, well, okay. I remember when he pulled in the driveway, and she elaborates all these subtle little cues that
Hmm.
she didn't think about. It was like she's this giant computer that processes all this information real fast, and
Hmm.
she comes to a conclusion. And
Hmm.
that only comes from experience. And when mothers have a lot of kids, especially, or
Hmm.
when they've been at this a long time, they get good at this. And they're better than men, by the way.
Oh, actually, I was going to ask you. So the question is, should you trust your intuition?
I had a mother say to me once, I interviewed her for a book, and she said, if my gut tells me something is risky for my son to do, and I can't pin down why, he's described this event, he's described who he's gone with, he's described where it is, and there wasn't really anything in what he said that made me totally uneasy. There wasn't a guy there named Snake who was dating this girl named Cinnamon with an S. No, she said there was something in my gut. And she said, I've relied upon my gut. And I had the confidence to say, if I'm wrong, I'd rather be wrong and be safer about it than to say, well, I really don't have any total evidence not to let him go.
Mhm.
Mothers are good at this. They're very, very good at it. And women in general are better at it than men. Because you know what it is about you women? You have an incredible social sense. You notice everything about everybody at all times, forever. To be used upon us men who get to a point in our lives, if we notice our wives are out there, we get extra credit. So the women are just, and I don't know why God designed it this way. God had to be some kind of thing that He gave you as a gift.
Mhm.
You just notice stuff. My wife will say, did you see how she looked at you? I'll go, no. Who looked at me? Well, I can tell she doesn't like you. Well, how can you tell that? I didn't notice anything. She said hello. She was nice. No. And then she'll tell me, and I go, I didn't even notice that. And
Mhm.
my wife is right almost every time.
Now, would you've hit on a couple of really important things here because, if you have, for example, a husband or you have a friend group um, that is extremely cerebral, and in that, you know, you make a decision based on your intuition, and they begin to hone in on you as if you're an idiot, right? Because
I'm
blah,
familiar
blah,
with
blah,
that.
blah, blah,
I'm
blah, blah.
familiar with that.
Yeah, yeah. And so can you suggest any kind of
Sure.
techniques
Absolutely.
to stand your ground when you're being, not
Yes.
bullied, but you're being cornered?
Intuition. If you just simply say, well, my gut tells me, or I have an instinct, or I don't know why, but I just feel. When you do that, you're leaving yourself wide open to, okay, well, all right, lady, you don't really know why you made that decision or why you think that way. You just, no. Intuition is something you can take apart.
Mhm.
There was a book called by a guy named Gavin de Becker. That
Yes.
book was, do you remember that book, The Gift of Fear?
The gift of
Yes.
fear. That
And
book is, yeah, yeah.
he talked about if you look at your intuition, there were subtle things that
Hmm.
at the time you just processed them automatically.
Hmm.
Somebody made you feel uneasy. You're walking to your car and you just get this uneasy sense and you
Hmm.
don't know why. And
Hmm.
then later on, after you get in your car, you say, you know what? There were two guys leaning against a car
Hmm.
over there, two spots away,
Hmm.
and they were kind of whispering to each other. And you didn't really process that until you got in the car and you started thinking about it backwards. That's what I tell people who say, well, okay, I've got a gut.
Hmm.
If you think about it,
Hmm.
you'll know what exactly it was that made your gut make that conclusion.
Yeah, I just want to shout out to all of you that are listening today. This book called The Gift of Fear by Gavin Becker is a must read. It's especially a must read for young women in university settings. I think sometimes our culture just convinces us that fear is all bad. And fear is not all bad because sometimes it's a gift. And sometimes when we ignore it, we think, I shouldn't have ignored that fear. And so, again, Gavin Becker, The Gift of Fear, a brilliant book. So thank you for bringing that up. Now, I was so thrilled that you were willing to talk about this topic, Ray, because I have this sense that women as a whole and motherhood as a whole has taken a real beating, and that women aren't developing their intuition. They're not trusting their intuition. It's almost as if we've lost, the mother instinct. Can you guess at what some of the reasons might be?
There is a relationship between not trusting your intuition and how you view your role as a mother. Canada,
Say that again. Say that again. That was good.
there is a relationship
Mhm.
between not trusting your intuition
Mhm.
and how you view your role as a mother. Our society basically says, Canada, US, Western, that you can have physical relations with anybody, anywhere, anytime, any way, however you want. And everybody is obliged to celebrate it, applaud it, and say, isn't that wonderful? There is only one sexual sin left in our culture, and that is, well, there are a couple, but concerning women, there is one that if you are a mom to a married, committed relationship, and you have more than 1.86 children, we will abuse you. We
Mhm.
will critique you. We will analyze you. We will second guess you. Do you know how this is happening? You realize you're sucking up the rainforest. What are you trying to prove? Don't you read books? Don't you have a television? Dorothy, when they used to say that to us as we trooped through with our 10 kids, somebody'd say, are these all your children? And I'd say, oh, no, 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 of course not. The oldest is at home with the triplets.
That's beautiful. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So what happens is, as mothers start to question who they are because the culture around them is beating them up,
Mhm.
then they don't trust their own good sense. I
Mhm.
see this in parenting.
Mm-hmm.
When a mother, I've had so many mothers say to me, Dorothy, they say this, well, if it were up to me, and I ask, whoa, 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 who's it up to? And
Mm-hmm.
they'll say this regarding a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if it were up to me, she wouldn't have a phone at age 12. And I'll say, well, who's it up to?
Mm-hmm.
But they're too afraid to trust their instincts. They know that phone is a bad thing. They know that at age 12, but
Mm-hmm.
they won't do it because all around them, the pressure says your instincts are wrong. You're
Mm-hmm.
going against social norming. Your
Mm-hmm.
kids are going to resent you. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to be rebellious. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to be oddballs. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to quit going to church when they're 19, and it's going to be all your fault. And the more you do that,
Mm-hmm.
not only do you trust yourself less, you trust your instincts less.
Mm-hmm.
I got a decision right now I have to make regarding one of my adult children.
Mm-hmm.
And my instincts are telling me this is the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't predict the way it's going to turn out. I don't know the way it's going to turn out. I
Mm-hmm.
have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the problem with intuition.
Mm-hmm.
When you make a decision based on intuition, you can't be certain. You can't say, well, I know if I go in this direction, this is the result. You
Mm-hmm.
can't say, you can't know that. You
Mm-hmm.
have to say, this is the direction my best judgment tells me to go, and I'm going to have to wait and see how it turns out.
Mm-hmm. And, and so just to piggyback on that, I think, because we are bombarded with so much media 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and because we're running around from here to there, and because as a culture we're going to church less, if at all, it's almost as if our souls are being sucked out of us because we're not present enough to ourselves to receive graces and messages from God. That's what I think.
When I wrote my first books, one of the point I was making was that parents nowadays are parenting insecurely,
Hmm.
especially faith-filled parents, because they're such an oddball
Hmm.
group in our culture. If you take your faith seriously, more so in Canada than in the US, and there's still a stubborn religious streak in the US. Some
Hmm.
places in Canada, that streak is now down to a thin thread.
Hmm.
So given that, it's easy to question yourself. It's easy to have your kids question you. Hey, mom, how can all those people be wrong and you be right? So
Hmm.
you have to have an incredible sense of God is guiding me. I've got to make these decisions. I know that these are not popular decisions, not only with my kids, but with my family. My own
Hmm.
parents are critiquing me.
Hmm.
You make these decisions, but what I've noticed lately, Dorothy, is this. I used to think that good parents, the ones listening to you right now, were afraid of doing something psychologically incorrect. Well, now I think they're afraid of how their children will turn out. They're afraid they'll leave the church. They're
Hmm.
afraid they'll cut them out of their lives. I know there are mothers listening to me right now who have adult children who say, "Look, I don't like the way I was raised and just get out of my life."
Hmm.
That's an epidemic right now. I see that more than anything.
Yeah, just being
And
cut
so they
out.
parent in fear. You cannot parent in fear. If you parent in fear, then just give them the car keys and let them live in the house the way they want.
The the if I could jump through the screen and give you a hug and go, right, I won. The other thing that I saw in some of the notes that I was reviewing, you know, about authority, right? Well, one thing, my kind of claim to fame is that mothers have, because they're so busy, because they're so exhausted, because they're distracted, doing yoga, some of them drinking wine, going to the fitness club, so they relinquish their authority as mom, right? And I'm like, what the heck has happened to the matriarch? Like, never in a million years in my own home, with my mom who survived World War II because, there was a bomb that destroyed her house. She was 13 years old and then psychologically sound through the grace of God. But when you were sitting at her kitchen table, there would be no way that somebody would say, I'm going on a trip with my boyfriend, or Larry's going to move in with me and stay in the bedroom, or I'm going to shut the bedroom door and you can't open it. I'm like, are you kidding? There would be hell to pay in my house, if I suggested any of those things. And I remember my mother, she would like swing the door open and say, if you don't like it here, you're welcome to leave. Go. Right?
She didn't parent in fear, Dorothy. She
So,
didn't say my kid's going to hate me. She didn't say my kid's going to get resentful. She didn't say my kid's not going to talk to me. She didn't say my kid, when she's 19 years old, is going to puke up religion because I had rules and standards. She didn't do that. She
mhm,
said, my job as a mother is to make these decisions.
mhm,
And she didn't parent like this. I'll
mhm,
tease my clients sometimes. I'll say, what would your mother have done had you talked to her the way your daughter is talking to you? And the client will say, well, no, no, I didn't talk to my mother that way. Why not? Well, I knew. You knew what? Something would happen. What? I
mhm,
don't know.
mhm.
Why don't you know? It never happened. Why didn't it happen? I never did it. Why didn't you do it? Something would have happened. What? I don't know who's on first. I don't know. Third base. But you see what it speaks of. There was a calm, confident authority, a good authority.
Mhm,
I always tell parents this: if you don't have authority, which means you say what you mean, you put the standard on it, and then you act, you follow through. If you don't have that, you get ugly.
mhm.
You go to confession. But bless me, Father. You know, before I had children, I was pretty nice. Now I'm not pretty or nice. And I just want to know, is it a sin to want to shoot your kid with a bazooka? That's what happens. If you don't have authority, you get ugly. And then you feel terrible about getting ugly. Authority is a good word. If you have it, Dorothy, you don't use it very often. If you don't have it, you're always chasing it with some counterfeit form, nagging, arguing, negotiating, warning, reminding, always. And it gets ugly, and you don't want that.
Mhm. I just got I know that you've got a lot on your plate. I just got a short story to tell. I remember when we were negotiating all sorts of transitions with my teenage son, and of course, the iPhone and the internet. And so every time I would leave the house, I would take the modem with me. Like,
That's smart.
I was like, what just happened? What just happened? I'm like, we pay for the bills. We've got rules. No phone after a certain hour. And I don't care if you got a high school girlfriend. Time out. That's it, right? And so I like to remind moms that we can take the modem with us wherever we go. And it really does a great job in limiting internet access from my experience. Um, and so would you say that, just turning, coming and doing a bit of a full circle, would you say that moms that have more children have better intuition? What are your thoughts on that? Or can it be about the same? Or what are your
Two
thoughts?
things, two things happen. One, you become experienced.
Hmm.
You're smack in the middle of five different personalities. The way they're wired, they're all different.
Hmm.
Some are going to serve the church, some are probably going to serve time.
Hmm.
So you got that. So you learn this experience about, okay. But the second thing is something my wife said. She said, I'm a better mother of 10 than I was of 3. And she said that because she said, I learned what was worth getting shook up over and what was not.
Mm.
What was kid junk
Hmm.
and what was something that required my full attention.
Hmm.
She learned that over time.
Hmm.
And sometimes it was instinctual. If
Hmm.
she saw something between two of the kids, before intervening, her sense told her, just hold off. I got a feeling this is just going to quietly resolve itself. I won't have to do anything about it. Where
Hmm.
back in the beginning, maybe she was quick to jump in. That's right. Stop it right now.
Hmm.
So she learned those things. And if I would say, honey, how'd you know that? And she goes, I don't know. It was kind of something in her tone. So you explore it.
Hmm.
But with experience comes intuition, I guess is what I'm saying.
Hmm. And it's interesting because I think a lot of women are afraid to have more children, and
Oh, yes.
they're
Oh,
afraid.
yes.
And
No question. The society makes them feel stupid. The society makes them feel like they're robbing the earth of its resources. The
but
society makes them feel like you're not going to be able to give to your kids all the attention that you want to give them. I said that to my wife one time. I said, honey, I can't. We had 10 kids under 12. All my kids were adopted. And I
Mhm.
said, I can't give one-on-one as much as I'd like. And my wife said, Ray, that's why they have brothers and sisters.
This is where the love mirrors itself through the different family members. Now, it's true right now because I see it with a lot of, millennials, a lot of young adults, that it is more difficult, if not impossible, to buy a home with two incomes, whereas in the past, you could do it with one income. And so, and in Toronto, we're just seeing an explosive growth of condos. And so I keep on saying, like, okay, so our living spaces are becoming smaller, and we're having fewer children. There's obviously some type of a force that is trying to stop families from flourishing and families from growing. And one thing I've been trying is to encourage my now adult children. Today's my grandson's birthday, my first grandson. First grandson, first birthday. Today is Maximilian John. But anyway, I keep on trying to encourage my adult children, you know, don't lean into the media, don't lean into what you're reading, like lean into your faith, lean into God. Can you talk a little bit about God's provision? Because with 10 children, you certainly must have had to do some, I don't know what the word is, but it can't be just like completely easy to provide for 10 children, right? Can you talk a little bit about that if you can?
Our first home we moved out of when we had 3 bedrooms and we had 5 kids in one bedroom and 4 in the other. And it was that way for several years. That's the
You
way it
had
was.
5 kids in one bedroom
And 4 in the other.
or in the
Yeah.
other. Hmm.
So we moved, and the house we currently live in now, as the kids grew up, we had 4, 3, 3. 4 in one, 3 in another, 3 in another.
Hmm.
When my daughter got to college, the commandant of her all-girls school said, we have trouble with some of our freshman girls getting used to a roommate. And my daughter said, only one? Like that. There is a study done, and this goes against the societal narrative.
Mhm.
The study said people who come from bigger homes are generally happier.
Hmm.
Yes, there is a connection, a give and take. My opinion, we had a rule, Dorothy. We had a rule. One stuffed animal. That's it. You're allowed one stuffed animal, not 26. One.
Oh,
If
no.
you get a second
Must be
one,
Father Fryefson my children had.
yes.
12 stuffed animals. Yeah,
If
yeah.
you get a second one, you decide which one to give to the charities. Now, that's what it was our rule. We had another rule. We didn't have 10 bikes. We had, I think, 3 or 4 at any one time, and they were all used.
Hmm.
And you had to share the bikes
Hmm.
because we wanted to show the kids this is training ground for getting along with all kinds of people and all kinds of demands. So
Hmm.
this idea that somehow you're going to shortchange your kids if they
Hmm.
don't have their own bedroom, if they
Hmm.
don't have tennis lessons 5 days a week,
Hmm.
that we bought into this. And
Hmm.
what tends to happen is that doesn't necessarily breed virtue.
Hmm.
Virtue's bred by getting along with all these people that live in your house, some of whom don't smell very good.
Hmm. And so I know too that I read something in your bio that you're a Catholic psychologist getting equipping families, mothers, fathers with tools and techniques to get their children to heaven and not Walmart, right? So,
Some people think Walmart is heaven.
yeah, some people do. Okay, so the other thing that you've said over and over again in different scenarios is that um, that that parents don't have as much fun. They don't laugh as much about being a mom or dad as they used to. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that really resonates with me. Because I try to get the message across to all of our mothers group leaders and any mom that I meet is that if there's no fun in your home, my mom used to always say, że kobieta musi być do tańca I do różańca, which means a woman has to be able to, pray the rosary and dance the polka, right? And so if you don't have that combination of both, kind of spiritual authority, but yet you can dance a good jig and have a lot of fun and laugh, chances are you're not going to be attracting, um, your children to come back visit you when you're older. It's be like, oh my gosh, thank God I'm out of that place. Can you talk a little bit about fun and, fun and family life and fun and being a mom specifically? Because I think usually moms are like the taskmasters and did you get that done? And, the dads are taking them to hockey, playing basketball, buying them ice cream when they were told that their daughter has a lactose intolerance, right? Can you address the importance of having fun?
Well, you got to pray the rosary while you're dancing the polka. I think that's what you got to do. There's a couple of things that are paramount here in taking the fun out of parenting for moms. One of them is that they are second guessing themselves psychologically. And parents will say to me, "Well, my child did this." And their question is not really, "What do I do about it?" Their question is there going to be psychological problems because of it? So
Mm,
when you put this psychological worry over top of the day-to-day motherhood of
mm,
stuff,
mhm,
your kid steals a Matchbox toy from the drugstore.
mhm,
Okay, so you bring it back, you have him apologize, you do what you got to do. But
mhm,
for many parents, it's like, why would he do that? He knows stealing is wrong. I tried to tell him stealing is wrong. Maybe it's not getting into him. Maybe he's just going to resist morals. And they go on and on and on about this.
uh,
You can't enjoy motherhood if you're going to analyze every stinking thing the kid does. You roll with it.
mhm,
Realize you're raising an unsocialized, partially moralized, impulsive human being. Translation, sin nature.
mhm,
You know this.
mhm,
Okay. So I'm going to deal with whatever you throw at me because
mhm,
I know this is motherhood.
mhm,
If you expect it not to be that way, if you expect we're going to just hold hands and sing kumbaya and we're going to walk along and he's going to pray the rosary with me in Aramaic while we levitate over broken glass, then you're just going to get frustrated because that's not real.
uh,
We had 10 kids and they
mhm,
have 10 different personalities, wildly different. Some
mhm,
of them absorbed our parenting and some of them it just bounced off of them.
mhm,
Okay. So
mhm,
my wife and I have had to roll with all that. And
mhm,
we couldn't enjoy motherhood, fatherhood if we didn't. We would
mhm,
just be in a state of turmoil.
mhm.
So I think that's a big factor.
Okay, I'm gonna take a shot at asking you one other question here. You're a man of remarkable accomplishments, right? You've written how many books?
20,
20 books. You've given talks probably in every state, you know.
4,000.
Yeah, 4,000 talks. Can you tell us a little bit? And I'm asking this for selfish reasons, okay? Let's just get
Wait a
this.
minute, I'm going to start the meter
Yeah,
charging me.
yeah. No, but how did you become so prolifically productive? Like, what are some standard practices of yours? Because you could be one of those, stressed dads all over the place. And instead, you've become a gift to the church, a gift to us here today, a gift to all of your viewers on, EWTN, a gift to your readers. And
Not all of them think that, Dorothy, just to make the record clear.
okay. Well, it Well, those that don't are wrong. Sorry.
Thank you, Aunt Dorothy.
Yeah. No, so can you tell us a little bit about how Dr. Ray has become Dr. Ray? Because you would have 101 different good reasons not to write a book. You would have 101 good reasons not to be on our show today. You have 101 good reasons to be sitting in the chair of a psychologist, right? Right. But yet, despite, because this is something too I observed about my mom, and I was always so grateful. I'm like, I have a children's book of hers that was partially destroyed by a bomb, and I keep it around to remind myself, Dorothy, if you think this is a cross, think about, you know, um, her and then immigrating to Canada. She married a widower. There's four kids that don't speak English. They land with literally, and you're complaining, right? And you're complaining, right? So, but I'm truly inspired, and I would love to learn just, and I'm sure a lot of moms would love to learn what are some of the practices that have put you on this incredibly beautiful track?
I've lifted weights for 55 years. When I was younger, I felt like I was lifting on the moon. Now I feel like I'm lifting on Jupiter.
Hmm.
Women will come in and they'll start their workout routine and they'll say, "How do you keep coming in?" And I'll say, "Well, there's a secret. Just show up. You do not debate, oh, I'm tired today. You do not debate, well, if I won't get to the lawn, if I go in there, no, oh, and I don't. You don't. You just show up. And so much of what I've pursued in my own career, I
Hmm.
know that if I debated, if I said, well, I don't know, if I don't talk to Dorothy today, I can go sit on the couch. I can sip my Diet Coke and have some pretzels. I know that. So, but just do it. Do not debate. If you know something is good to do, be with you, write a
Hmm.
book,
Hmm.
go visit Aunt Mary in the nursing home, even though you get all skittish about it. If you
Hmm.
know it's good to do, you don't start an internal debate. Well, I know, but if I did, I'm kind of like I haven't lifted in a week, and I don't know if I want to go because I'm kind of tired. I'm sore right here. And if you do that, you lose. You lose. You just say to yourself, I need to do this because it's good to do. Because God wants me to do it, I think. I can't know everything God wants me to do, but I think a good guess.
Hmm.
And that's how 20 books get written. I say, well, writing is the hardest thing I do. However, I know I have these 2 hours here and I'm going to write for 2 hours.
Hmm.
Once you get over the hump of
Hmm.
the start,
Hmm.
you got the momentum.
Hmm.
You and I's time together here, you and my time together here shot by, just shot by.
Yeah.
So the first couple of minutes there, we're starting out, but now I blink at the clock, it's gone. We're
Hmm.
done.
Hmm. Okay, so that's another incredible accomplishment to add to your many.
I was
Um,
on with Dorothy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just gonna scroll through here. If any of you have any questions for Dr. Ray, because our kind of time is running out. We've talked about intuition. We've talked about what it is. We've talked about authority. We've talked about the goodness of, having large families and how not every one of our kids don't need their own bedrooms. I just love to hear from you if anyone has any questions before we sign off. Um, we have 15. Someone here, Elizabeth says we have 15 kids and 10 are still at home. God bless
Get a new
you.
address. Get an unlisted address. Relocate yourself in Montana.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Teresa, we have 5 kids. All welcome to see you here. Anyway, I wanted to take this opportunity to thank you, Dr. Ray. Thank you for joining us today. It's been a real honor and a real pleasure. And again, can you just remind me of that title of your book?
Sure.
Yeah.
How to get along with almost everybody.
How to Get Along with Almost Everybody by Dr. Ray Guarendi.
It's on my website, and the discipline books are there, the marriage books are there, the faith books are there, the emotion books are there. All of those books are there. They're discounted. I sign all of them, and
Okay.
my wife handles the orders. Now,
Mhm.
I would say this. I hope, Dorothy, that we won't go another 6 years, and that I'll come and see you at your conference when you have it in Toronto.
Well, I'm hoping that too, and I'm also it exceeds today's interview, but one topic that I think is near and dear to many women's hearts is, the topic of managing emotions, because and maybe that's something we could talk about at some
I
point.
got a book on that called Living Calm.
Oh, it's called Living Calm. Okay.
Mhm.
Because one of the greatest gifts that was given to me, and it was by a priest, the book was called What Do I Feel? And he really helped me as a part of my spiritual journey to separate, and label feelings in order to give me the freedom to move in the direction that God wanted me to, instead of the direction that my feelings wanted me
Well,
to.
you seem holier than the last time I saw you. Yeah, you do.
Oh, that's, I don't know. You should talk to my husband and kids, and you might change your view on that. But anyway, thank you, Dr. Grundy. So the book on the emotions, it's called Live Calm.
Living calm.
Live
Yep.
Calm.
Mastering anger and frustration.
Yeah, no, that you're calling my name there. Oh, good. So, just okay. So we didn't. Okay, I'm just going to make sure that everybody. Susan Taras says you are a great inspiration. Thank you for your wisdom in raising kids and parenting. Elizabeth says, "Hi, Dorothy and Dr. Ray. I really appreciate this experience. Thank you for sharing your hope and inspiration to celebrate family life according to God's wonderful plan." Elizabeth, you know what I say to all the moms in our Moms Network? And I encourage all of you to visit our website, CatholicMomsGroup.com, and consider starting a moms group in your parish. I've also written a book, Motherhood Matters. We have a new publication for first-time moms called Your Life is Going to Change. And I'm hoping that every time you meet someone that has a baby, you get them a copy of this, because it leads them to the church, and it leads them to facing their own neediness. But anyway, I'm going to say maybe a closing prayer, if that's
Thanks,
okay.
Dorothy. Sure.
Dear Lord, we know that wherever two or more are gathered in your name, that you are present. And there are many of us here online, virtually gathered in your name. And so we acknowledge your presence. We rejoice in your presence. We thank you for the incredible gift of Dr. Ray Guarendi, his wife, his work, his ministry. We ask you to shower him with just a bucket load of graces. And we beg for the Holy Spirit to anoint him. And we ask our Blessed Mother to wrap her loving arms around Ray, and just to console him and encourage him in his work. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Um, I'm going to ask listeners here today, you didn't have to pay for this session with Dr. Ray. I'm going to ask how many of you here would be willing tonight to pray a full rosary for his intentions. That's what, like 12 minutes? 12 minutes of your time for 45 minutes of his time. And I think that's a pretty good deal. So is there anyone here? You're going to start with me. I'm going to pray a full rosary for Dr. Ray Guarendi today. We've got one there from Sherry Ramirez. Sorry. It was great to meet you last conference, Susan Taras, Lucy. Whoa, look at that. We don't always get that many.
That's beautiful. I just want to say how grateful I am because I know your rosaries are going to be a lot better than me finding a good parole officer.
Yes, yes. So we're going to pray a full rosary. You've got a full rosary tonight from Madalena, from Elsa, from Carol, from
Wow.
Gina, from Christina,
Oh,
from
sweet.
Maria, from Teresa, from Elizabeth, from Lucy, from Susan, Suzanne, Sherry, and Dorothy. And I'm going to be praying throughout the whole day, ladies, that you don't forget. I'm going
That is more women that paid attention to me than all 9 of my years in college.
to. You know what? I just love you. Thank you. Thank you for your
Dorothy,
presence.
bless you, honey. We'll see you again, I hope, huh?
Yes, and
All right.
let's touch base about when you're planning to be here a little bit more
Okay.
later.
I
Okay.
got you.
Okay. Talk to you
Thanks,
later.
hon. I got to
Bye bye.
run.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for your time. Bye bye.